So sponsor. Sponsor other women. And I'll help you engender a workforce in your image. We will move from 15% to 46% or 50%. But we will not do it unless you sponsor. This could be your finest, our finest hour if you accept the challenge of smiting relational aggression in the workplace, continuing your mentorship, but as a sponsor, and sponsorship. If you don't, I can't possibly help you. If you do, it will be our finest hour, for sure. So closing remarks. My wife once used this quote in front of a museum, art museum audience in Austin, Texas. Probably 500 people in the room. And I actually quite love my wife. Been married for 35 years. I am constantly being reminded that most men don't empathize, that we try and solve, which is always very humbling. And yes, there is a physiological difference between us, which you all know about, and I'm sure the men in the room can relate to my comment about we don't know how to empathize, but we try. I listened to her say the following, and before she talked about this quote, she said, how many of you in this room, as children, loved art? And I don't know, there's 400 or 500 people in the room. Everybody raises their hand. So raise your, if you, as a child, did you like art? Okay. So what is it that happened that caused you to stop art? What? Is it the fact that we favor football teams in Austin, Texas over drama, ballet, dance, the right-brained activity? There's a book I highly recommend called The Whole New Mind. The problems that we have as a society and as generally a global community are problems that will only be solved by right-brained and left-brained activity. But we better engage the right, because the left is what's creating the problem. This quote was then used by my wife, saying, geez, what is it that causes us to essentially dampen our interest in art and those of our children? And I'm going to share with you a story. We have a new HR director, a head of HR in Motorola. He's a great guy. He comes out of Coca-Cola. Very smart guy, consummate professional, has a couple daughters. Ages, I think, 13 and 14, or they were 13 and 14 when they decided not to be jocks because it wasn't the right thing to be for young girls. BS, I say that. How many of you as a parent, and there aren't probably as many parents in the room as would be my age crowd, take the opportunity to say to their children who are in college, oh, majoring in fine arts is a great idea. Oh, majoring in drama is a great idea. Oh, majoring in poetry is a great idea. Oh, let's do Greek mythology. Great idea. Get the point? I want you to read The Whole New Mind, because the problems that we're talking about, including engendering a workforce, will not get solved by linear thought. It will be solved only with the whole new mind. So, these are admonitions. I'm not going to talk about it all, but I'm just going to emphasize 3 or 4 very quickly. Don't be afraid to be a woman. Don't be afraid to be the prejudice advocate, just like I asked Richard Wilson to be. Be the prejudice advocate for your gender in your workplace and beyond. And if you are, I'm willing to help. I will follow. I'll actually take the baton and I'll lead. But I will not do it until I feel the pull. I will not. Let you grow. So back to relational aggression. 0 tolerance for relational aggression. Don't be afraid to essentially have other women compete. In fact, I'll share with one last story. At Amazon, years and years ago, I was asked if I would come and talk to the company as it was a fledgling company. They had 71 directors and vice presidents, and Jeff Bezos and the CFO at the time, Joy Covey, yes, that'd be a female, asked if I would come speak to them and be the keynote at a dinner where they were going to have their first ever leadership team meeting. And it was supposed to last for an hour. About 2.5 hours into it, I had to cut it off because I was hungry and I was on my way back from Japan, heading to the United States through Seattle. It was a fun meeting, great conversation. At one point, I asked the following question. How many of you in this room have hired a successor? One person raised their hand, Jeff. So I said, 71 people in the room. It's an odd number, and I remembered it. It's kind of a numbers thing. So I said, so that means Jeff is the only person who gets to keep being boss. Because here's what's going to happen. If you guys don't hire your successor, I'm probably going to hire your successor for you at some point. So you may as well just go recruit your successor. That way you get to look smart, and be smarter. That way you actually get to continue to be boss. And frankly, you get to be promoted because you have a successor. So hire your successor. Zero tolerance for relational aggression. Do not be fearful of competing with women. Invite it. Embrace it. And you'll get to continue to do two things. One, be in a financially more productive environment. The stats say that. And oh, incidentally, you'll be with some kindred spirits who can empathize. And oh, thirdly, here's what else happens. You win. You win. And by the way, if you're uncomfortable with all this, that means you're on the right track. You're on the right track. If you are comfortable, wrong answer. That sounds like the status quo. And as we all know, status quo is not the best way forward because that would be 15%. Oh, yeah, 15%. Oh, yeah, maybe in Congress it's 17%. Great. Not. I invite you, I implore you, accept the challenge that I lay before you. Smite relational aggression in the workplace. Engender the workplace in your image, and I will help you. Thanks. Oh, actually, hold on. I blew it. There's a homework assignment and a video. Quickly, homework assignment. I want you to go think about what's your beacon, what's going to guide you, and why, which is why the first exercise. They are related. And the harder one, and this is the one I have not done. I have done the first one. I have never written, not that I'm inclined to want to do it quickly, or at least have to use it, write your own eulogy. What matters most to you? Live the thing that's going to represent for all of us the life that you were proud to live or have lived. Because it will actually cause you to really think some deep thoughts. I haven't done it. I really need to do it myself. But I hadn't thought about it until I was thinking about you guys today. With that, I'm going to show you, I wish there was Mia Hamm's a friend of mine, as my buddy Sharon knows. Very inspiring. She signed a ball with one word for one of my daughters, believe. Believe. It's a great momentum. Unfortunately, I could show you the tape where Brandy takes off her shirt and has just scored the goal, and that's really, 10 seconds. And for the guys in the room, it'd be kind of exciting, but for you, maybe not. But I'm going to show you a video that I think is pretty exciting. It happens to be about a football halftime conversation, which some of you may have seen. And I want you to just think of it as a woman's team, given the environment. So I think that's a pretty good metaphor for life. Forget football. It's certainly a pretty good metaphor for one of the messages I was trying to get across to you this evening, which is that you are a team. You're team women. It's really up to you, not up to me. And if you fail to take a position, how can you possibly lead, and why would I follow? Take a position. That's my prayer for my daughters, my nieces, frankly, for you. Thanks.